Hey guys, here's a quick rundown of the properties bar, which here is on the right side of my screen, although sometimes it's on the top, just depends how you have it set up. I'm going to be looking specifically at the text properties bar, so once you've clicked inside the text boxes, there are a couple things that you can see on the left. I would say the really important things start here at character. There's our fonts, Baskerville Oldface, which is the default font for body text, but just to show you guys, I could change it to say Bell MT Bold. Right, that's not what we want, so let's just do a quick undo, but that's how you can change fonts. This regular option, Baskerville Oldface, really only has that one option, but if I were to be, say, in Bell MT, here I could change it from regular to italics to bold, and now I'm just going to go back to Baskerville Oldface. Right here, this is font size, so if I made this like 20, you can see all of a sudden my font is getting really, really big. 10 is the right size for body text though. This is spacing. It controls the amount of space there is between text lines. If I make that 20, you can see the spacing gets really, really big. Again, 10 is the correct amount for body text. I think of the things there, the only other one that I use somewhat regularly is this VA. It controls how widely spaced out this is, the characters are. I would definitely never go to 130, but up to like 10 or down to -10 or maybe 20, -20, if you need to stretch it or shrink mostly headlines. Generally, if you need to shrink headlines just a little bit so they fit right where you want them over the article. But honestly, generally, I don't even use that one that much. Oh, one other thing is this English option. If you are on an Esquina page, be sure to change this to Spanish. Yeah, it's about where it breaks syllables if it doesn't fit on a line. And so in the English setting, it breaks them at the right spot for English words, but if you put in the Spanish setting, it'll break them at the right spot for Spanish words. Let me see, right below that, we have these options. I use them very, very rarely. I would say, I think it's good to, I think it's good to know subscript and superscript because occasionally, especially when we do articles, let me see, I know the pollution feature in October had some like element names, some like sciencey stuff, and that used like subscripts. So it's good to know, but not really, you won't see it very often. This right here is much more important. It's alignment. The default setting, well, the correct setting for body text is this one, left aligned and justified, except for the very last line, which is not just of each paragraph, which is not justified. You can, right, this is left aligned without justifying, centered, right aligned without justifying, left aligned with justifying, centered and justified, right and justified, and then just all the way justified, including the last lines of paragraphs. So yeah, you're probably gonna play with that a bit. Right, this left aligned and justified is right for body text, but headlines can be centered or left aligned depending on what looks better for a page, and occasionally even right aligned. Bylines and stuff, right, are center aligned over a column. It's good to know that stuff. Let's see, a couple more things in here. This function right here, this second one down, controls tabs. So if I highlight all my text and put that to 0, you can see the tabs on the paragraphs go away. That's not what we want. We want it to be 1p0. If I go right here and increase this, you can see I'm adding space between the paragraphs. Generally, I don't use that, and I suggest that you don't either, but if you are doing like a full page or some sort of story with subheadings, that can help add space between the subheads and the rest of the text, just a little bit of space there. Again, please don't use that on most of the pages though, because it just adds kind of, it's another thing that you have to remember that you did in case you want to change it back later. I think it's better to stay away from unless you're really on like one of those full pages where it helps really with like separating subheads from the rest of the text. And then this is just a really cool one that you probably won't use. Please don't use it on most pages. I think the only places it really belongs are like center spread and front page. But you can make that first letter of your paragraph kind of the big, bolder one, and you can make it bigger if you want. But yeah, that's only if you're doing some very special, interesting design pages. Most of the time, we just have a nice normal start. And yeah, I don't really use any of the other functions here. If for some reason you wanted bullets and numbering, there are your options. Oh, and then fill with placeholder text. If I have blank columns and I want to fill with placeholder text, like before the story comes in, just so I can set up the page design, you can right click and hit fill with placeholder text, or you can click in the column and then right click, or you can click in the column and then go over to properties and hit fill with placeholder text. They both work equally well. And that's pretty much it in terms of the really common properties I use over here. There are, as you can see, tons of others, but really I pretty much never have a reason to use any of them. And so you probably shouldn't either, at least not on most of the pages that you're going to be starting on. All right, I think that's about it. Thank you so much.